All right, perfect. So this is the sales portion of our training for a sales rep. So basically tonight's whole plan, what we're going to go over is not as much about what we do, but the how to sell it. So we're going to focus on different sales tactics, methodologies, how to reach different people, things like the pain points, what to listen for, things of that nature, which apparently I say quite a bit. Apparently that's one of my verbal tics is things of that nature, along with hyper. So sorry for all the laughing in the background. They pointed it out to me earlier. So, but so tonight we are going to start off kind of going over our comp plan and just kind of how our pay structure works, just because I know this is why anybody is going to be with us. So to start with, compensation wise, if you are not selling the product fully, if you're just essentially creating referrals or what's known as sales development, which is all about building a connection and saying, hey, you might want to talk to one of the sales reps about utilizing the service, and you send them over, they talk to a sales rep, the sales rep closes it. We do a referral payout on that of $100. As long as they sign up for service, you get $100. And so this is kind of the entry level where most people will start, or if you're just trying to kind of get your foot in the door a little bit, figure out if you want to dive in more. You can start by just building these connections and say, yeah, here, go talk to Tommy, go talk to Julie, go talk to a different sales rep, and then you get $100 if they get or close the sale. You also qualify for the bonus with that, which I'll go over in a second. But if you're actually doing the full sales, which like for Corey, this is what I want you moving right into, because it's really not any reason to not go straight to the full sales part.
Yeah, I don't understand. Why wouldn't you just close it if you already have the referral?
So a lot of times the difference between doing the referral versus the full sale is if you don't have the ability or intention or experience to go through and fully evaluate whether or not this is going to be a good fit for someone, or if you're really ready to do the sales process, then just doing the sales development or the referral process is a great option. So like Sierra, who's here with me right now, she's going to be doing the sales development, which essentially she'll just be calling people and building a quick connection, letting them know who we are, what we do, and seeing if they want to talk to a sales rep to dive further into the process. And so that's quick, that's easy, that's high volume, but it's also something where you don't have to be as experienced in sales to do. So some people who will end up watching like this recording are going to probably just want to do that, or they may get brought on just to do that, and then move to the full sales cycle down the road. But it's one of those things that it's not hard to move from the referral to the full sale after at least a little bit of time. So that's the why some people might do it, is because they don't want to do the entire sales process. So, but as far as if you are doing the full sales process, you get paid for 1 month of their MRC, or monthly recurring charge. And it's important to note it's MRC, not NRC. So NRC is non-reoccurring charges, which we'll get more into in a second. But basically, if their monthly subscription is $250, you get $250. You don't get paid off of like a setup fee or anything like that, because that's essentially there to cover other overhead expenses and additional costs for the writers going in and setting up the accounts, and they spend a couple of hours doing things, and so that setup fees are there to cover the writers' time and cost rather than the sales part. So you get $250, or whatever it is. If you sell a $400 plan, you get $400. Our standard monthly bonus, so this is the normal, is if you're hitting 10 sales per month, you get an extra $1,250 tacked on top of your commission. And this runs off of a calendar month, so it's based off of when the person pays for their first invoice. So you may close it. Let's say you meet with someone next week. They say, yep, I'm good, I want to do it. But they don't actually pay for their first month until July 1st. That will count towards July's commission. That's how the commissions are all processed as well, by calendar month. So basically, start of July, anything that is paid for in July, we calculate at the end of July. So essentially the month ends, we pull a report and have about a week to get the reports put together. Everything goes to our bookkeeper. She figures out, okay, who are all the new clients and what's the payout for all the new sales. Then we send over a discrepancy sheet. So it's basically our tally saying, hey, this is what I'm showing, double check it, make sure everything's right, make sure we didn't miss something. Because like I had one on our other sales reps last month who they paid by check instead of paying on online, so it didn't pull in my standard report. It had to be manually and added in, just because of how she paid the bill. And so we'll send you that. You have a couple of days to look it over, and then actual paydays are approximately the 15th of the month, or earlier. So it depends on what day the 15th lands on. If it's going to be on a Sunday or Saturday, I'm going to get it done Friday before, type of a thing. So it'll be no later than the 15th, but it could be a couple of days earlier, or if there's a holiday, I'll get it paid before the holiday, things of that nature. Which with that, you have the options of doing direct deposit is by far the easiest, which after the training, I'll get all the paperwork out, and you can just select in there if you want to do direct deposit. That's the fastest. I can mail checks as well. Just kind of depends on what you prefer. But so anyways, sorry, I sidetracked there, but on the standard monthly bonus, it's the $1,250 for 10 sales. I'm doing a ramp up bonus right now. So for the first 2 months, your target to get bonus is half. So it's 5 sales per month. You get the $1,250. So essentially you get 2 full months of that pay period, or that is your bonus structure. Just my whole thing is it takes a little bit of time to get your feet under you, to get accustomed to talking about this and how to sell it, and then get your sales funnel filled up. And so once your sales funnel gets full and you have a lot of different people you've connected with who end up, closing the sale maybe a couple of weeks later or a month later, it gets a lot easier to hit that target of 10 per month. But really, I want to make sure that as long as you're getting out there and you're working hard, and pushing to get sales right away, that we reward you for it with an achievable goal for starting out. So 5 sales per month gives you $1,250 for the first 2 months. And then we'll also be doing additional incentives. So this is going to look something like if you're at 110% of quota for the year, or whatever amount we determine. If as long as you are over 100% quota, which is obviously 10 sales per month or more, then we'll do an extra incentive. And that's going to be something along the lines of a trip somewhere, like we had talked about doing one when we first launched. That was if we hit our first target by a certain day, I was going to take our team down to Cabo for 4 nights, 5 days, kind of a thing. Stay at all expenses paid, or all inclusive resort, things like that. So it'll be something that will be fun, something that will be memorable, and worth shooting to get. But I don't want to just throw extra cash out at it, because I find that these types of things are better as a company, and better at creating a better culture for our company, just so that people have the opportunity to get together, get connected more, especially as we grow larger and have a lot more people from outside of my area. It'll be the best way to incentivize people to get together. So that's the basics of the compensation plan. What kind of questions, if any, do you have before we move on to the actual sales process?
You said the pay is mid-month. Is that just mid-month every month?
Yeah. So it's the once a month, and basically it takes a little bit to get that first one, because we get through the calendar month. So, well, I guess technically it wouldn't take a bit. So like right now, we get you up and running in the next couple of days. We still have 2 weeks left in the month. You get 3 sales done this month. We get you paid for that on the 15th of next month. So that way, it's roughly a month out from, or less than a month out from now, but it'll be reoccurring on the 15th of every month. If there's ever a situation where, let's say, you're needing a draw on your pay off of what you've already sold for the month, and you need it by something like the 25th or something of the month, whatever it may be, or by the 1st of the month. If there's ever a situation where you need a draw, I can definitely do that. I'm not opposed to doing that. It'll just be based off of what you've already sold, but that's not just going to be like an all the time type of a thing, but we can definitely help you out if needed on that. So.
Okay. And you mentioned the 1 monthly bonus. Is there any other, just a yearly?
At this point, we are still debating. So part of what I'm trying to really hone in is what is the most achievable targets for our sales reps. Because like our other sales rep who started a little over a month ago, I think it's been about a month and a half. At first it was really slow. And then all of a sudden got quite a few, and then slowed. And, so there's this ebbs and flow of it. And so we've been trying to really establish what is achievable. And then once we get that dialed, we'll probably start doing additional bonuses or incentives. So that may be a quarterly bonus where we throw in, 150% of, if you're at 150% of your target, then we kick in a multiplier or something of that nature. At this point, we don't have anything official for that, but we will down the road. I just have to fine tune that. So that's it will come. There will be additional stuff, but that's just not finalized yet.
Okay, I didn't know if because you did the 10 sales a month. I didn't know if there was like a 20 sales a month thing or anything beyond that.
I've contemplated escalators, which if you hit that higher end, you start getting a larger percentage. It's the tricky thing, which we kind of talked about yesterday, is our price points are set to be extremely affordable for our clients, which means we don't have large margins on it. So the volume, if we start seeing a larger volume, then I will start adjusting our quotas and our bonuses and finding where I can optimize the most extra pay for you as possible. Because one of our big philosophies is we want to really take care of anybody working for us, which is why this, as what's really an independent sales rep or independent consultant kind of company, is set up to really make sure that people are getting as much as we can do. And I just realized I was not screen sharing here, so bear with me. All right. So for anyone who is watching the recording, sorry, luckily it didn't really skip over anything screen-wise. But basically, we will adapt our compensation plan as we go. And if we're finding, hey, we've got room to do an escalator if you hit 20 sales or whatever it may be, then we'll start implementing something like that. That's just part of us being newer and being a startup still, is we want to be safe. So I don't want to come out offering these over the top, absolutely insane comp plans like a lot of MLM type companies who launch do, and then to end up not being able to afford it, put themselves in a bad spot, end up closing down, then everyone loses. So we're doing everything extremely cautious, but as fair and as making it as lucrative for you guys as we can. So, all right, so moving on to our plan. So this gives you the best idea on how much you can actually make, but this is also getting into how we sell, what our plan and options are for customers. So to start with is we call it our organic growth plan. So it's our standard plan. This is where we start with every one of our customers. This is our baseline, and I don't really go below this as far as options, just because we don't need to price-wise. It's at a price point that is fair for any small business, and anyone who tries haggling or tries getting the price lowered, they probably aren't going to be great customers for us. So with this, what we're looking at, the organic growth plan, is $249.99 a month, so just $250. And that includes 5 posts per week on one platform. That means on Facebook, they can get 5 posts, or they can do Instagram, or they can do LinkedIn. They can pick one platform that they want to be on, which we are going to recommend which ones they should be on. But they get to pick one, and it's $249.99. And so if you sell this plan, you get $249.99. Then the thing that is becoming more common is the additional platforms. What that means is if someone signs up to do Facebook on the organic growth plan and they want to do Instagram as well, we'll do Instagram as well for another $150 per month. So any additional platform is $150 per month. So if they do Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn, you're looking at $550 a month essentially for all 3. And it's not overly common that our clients want to be on all 3. It is something that some of our clients are getting bigger and it might be worth doing, but for the most part, people go with 1 or 2 platforms. That's kind of the standard. Now each of those platforms have the different benefits, which we talked about yesterday. Essentially, Facebook's more relational, Instagram is more visual, and LinkedIn is all business. And then there is what we call proofing posts. This means that if the client wants us to send them this post that we're scheduling before we put them out, we charge them extra to do that. It's extra time, extra steps, and everything we do is based off of our time. And we have our system and process dialed where our posting does not take very long. So we're not charging them $200 an hour and have all this extra wiggle room in our time. We're charging essentially about $50 an hour is how we break it down. That's roughly our price point for everything, how we have it calculated. So if they want us to send all the ads to them ahead of time and they proof them, they give the thumbs up and the okay, then it's $100 a month for that. That is something you do get paid off of because that is a reoccurring charge. So if you sell them proofing the ads, you get an extra $100. Okay. I don't like promoting it because it is extra work and it's not the best use of time for our writers, but it is something that is there to use. It is there to sell. It's just not a focal point. So that's kind of if you have a client who is very controlling, they're very worried about the kind of stuff being posted, that's when you offer, okay, well, if you want to proof everything, you can do that. It's just a little bit more, and use that as a closing tool. So the next service we do, and this one has a few parts to it, are the custom ads. So this is if someone's wanting to do an actual ad campaign on Facebook or LinkedIn or Instagram, we charge $100 to set it up. So that includes the time to write the ad, create the graphic for it, create all the target demographics, and put all the analytics into the platform for that ad. It takes us a bit of time because we've really got to dial it down to make sure that we're reaching the right people and optimizing their ad budget, because what we don't want to do is just write an ad for them and just plaster it out to anybody in the area, especially if they're like a business who is looking for people the age 50 and up. If we don't specify all the demographics in the ad campaign, then we are going to just be showing it and they're going to be paying for it to be seen by people that it doesn't matter. So it takes a while to set up an ad. So we do a $100 charge for that. And then on top of that is however much they're wanting to spend for the ad itself. So they have 2 options here. With the custom ad, they can have us set it up. They go in, they log into their Facebook account or LinkedIn account, and they go into the ad and then they input the budget. And so they say want to do $500 towards this advertisement. They can put their credit card info into Facebook or LinkedIn or Instagram and set the budget at $500. Now, if they want to just pay us, I do take 10% off of the budget. So if they are doing a $500 budget, for the boost or for the ad, I'm going to take 10% off of that because I then am having to process the payment from them, which we get hit with about a 3% payment processing fee. And so if they pay us $100, the payment processing company takes $3 of it off the top. Plus, then I have extra steps of having to set it up where our credit card is the one being used. We're also then more liable for things, so I take a 10% cut off of the top of their posting budget.
So you said custom ads are $100 each?
Yeah, $100 to set it up for each one. So usually we'll do just like one custom ad per month, or sometimes a company will run two if they're trying to get different demographics with each ad. So like a great example, or orthodontist is the main one we have running ads right now, or at least doing it consistently. And last month she did an ad. One was targeted for moms for Mother's Day, and then another one was targeted for kids at, or basically for parents with kids at the age of like 8 to come in and do pre-screening. And so we ran 2 different campaigns for that. So it's 2 different setup fees because we have to set completely different demographics and all that kind of stuff for it. But yeah, it's basically $100 to set up each ad. And then the budget, the total boosting budget for that one got split between the 2. And so like then this month we're doing just one ad, which is less complex and a little bit easier for us to manage, but it's just the one setup fee because we still have to go in and set different demographics to reach different people with it. So the next fee is our setup fee. And really these are our last main fees, but our setup fees. So any new customer, we always charge at least a $100 setup fee. And that is for someone who already has their page built. Let's say their Facebook page is already built, but it needs modified, or we need to come in and tweak some stuff, which we always do. We always go in and optimize. So the setup fee is covering optimizing their current page, as well as the time for our writers to go in and they do an onboarding call where they basically dive into really getting to know the client, make sure that they understand everything and who they are, what they're trying to do, what their brand is, all of that kind of stuff. So they spend a good amount of time up front with the clients. So the setup fee is actually going to the writers for their time doing it. So it's not something that's just a random fee to make extra money. It has a purpose. It's paying for all that extra time. So the other part with the setup fee is if they don't have a page built yet. So if they don't have a Facebook page at all and it needs to be built from the ground up, we charge an extra $50. So it's $150 for the setup fee. And so that is fairly common, but it's not something that we really get any pushback on, or at least not very often. So
is that per platform? Would that be $50 per platform?
If it needs to be built from the ground up, yes, $50 extra per platform.
Like if they don't have an Instagram, they don't have a Facebook, they don't have a LinkedIn, that would be $50 extra per.
Yes. Yeah, because the $50 basically covers the setup time to build those. That's like I said, about an hour. We charge about $50 an hour. It takes around an hour just to build a page. So the standard $100 setup fee is just the one. So it's not going to be $150 for each platform if they're getting set up. They have a $100 setup fee, and if they have all 3 platforms already set up and built, we're just going to charge them. Or sorry, back up. So they want to do all 3 platforms: Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. They already have the pages built for all of them. We're just going to charge them one $100 setup fee, because we get pretty much all the info we need for all of the platforms at once. And it's not going to take a bunch of extra time if the pages are already built, that we go in and we just figure out everything on one and then copy it over to the others. So it's not a lot of extra time, so we only charge them one. But we do charge the extra $50 if we're building each page from the ground up.
That sounds like the best deal. If you get the 3 platforms for the $100.
Yeah, I mean, it's the best value for sure. And that's really how we're set up is, adding on the additional platforms is very cost effective. And for us as a company, that's what we're shooting for. We want to get people on multiple platforms because of the fact that they are, we start getting a little bit higher profit margins at that point, because the amount of work it takes to do 3 platforms is not substantially larger than doing 1 platform. So it becomes a little bit more time, but not as much as doing just 1 platform. So anytime you're able to sell multiple platforms where it would be the right fit for the customer, definitely do so. And then also I just put down that any additional customization is available. So we've had people who they need extra posts, or they want to kind of switch it around from being 5 posts on Facebook to 4 posts in a story or something like that. There are customization options. It's just never going to drop below the $249.99, and it's never going to be like additional work on top of for the same price. But if they want something slightly modified or to tweak things, that is available. It's just that all runs through your sales manager. So if you have a client who's asking you, hey, can I do 2 posts on Facebook and 3 on Instagram per week? Maybe we might be able to set something like that up. There would be, a little extra fee for doing it and having to have additional platforms in our program and stuff like that. But if you have people who want something like that, just talk to your sales manager and we can figure out some options for them. So that's the basics of our plans. What kind of questions do you have on it? Because I know this is, a big part. So
Are there other plans?
So I technically have them. I can't even remember the name of it off the top of my head. Hold on one sec. Basically, I've avoided doing them, and I'm probably going to take one of them out. So I have the marketing management plan available as well. This one is $599.99, and it is 9 posts per week on 1 platform, and we also include a paid ad with that, with $50 towards the boost on it. Now that's one that I think I'm going to end up taking out, just because, first of all, I haven't had anybody that I recommend it for, or interested in it even. And I think after doing this for a while now, I'm finding that there's not really any reason for us to go up to the 9 posts per week unless we get some large customer. And so I'll basically make that that one will go away, and I will just modify from our existing plans, because really you're selling the main plan, the organic growth plan. That's what sells. That's what's easy to sell. That's what people are going to want. And then you're basically just adding in the additional platforms is what we've found is the most successful way to do it. So the other plan, so I had the marketing management plan and then a campaign management, which that's more of a customized plan if we are doing multiple ad campaigns, if we're doing multiple platforms, as well as doing things like chat bots, email drip campaigns, basically a full social media campaign for a larger company. That's going to fall to someone who has a very large budget. They're looking at spending $1,500 to $3,000 a month. But it's not something that we are really actively doing or promoting, because there's a lot of other companies out there who do that, and they do it really well. And I have no problem telling people who are looking for that, you know what, if you need someone to do it, we can do it for you, but this other company specializes in it. I would rather send you to someone who specializes in these large campaigns, and that's all they do, rather than take it on and, not necessarily stay in our wheelhouse. So we really want to just kind of stay with our standard plan option at this point. Down the road, as we bring on more writers and have more availability, we'll probably relaunch some larger plans and some other customized services. But for right now, it's kind of like keep it simple and do it really, really well, which is exactly what we're doing right now. So the other companies, sorry, go ahead.
Okay, so you have the organic growth plan. What was the name of that other plan that you mentioned?
The other one is the marketing management plan. And that one, like I said, I'm going to end up pretty much doing away with it. I don't think it's something you need to really worry about trying to sell. If you have someone saying, hey, I want a more robust plan than the basic one, I would say at that point, just talk to me about it, and we'll come up with some ideas and some strategies. And it may be offering them this plan, the marketing management plan, but it might just be doing an adaptation of one of our other plans, like adding in 1 or 2 other posts per week and trying to just find what's the best fit for them. So really, I don't think we need to expand from the organic growth plan right now, because it works, and it works for our clients. So
okay.
What other questions on the plan options?
So if they want to go beyond the 3 platforms, then just bring it up to you and just customize something.
Yeah, if that's a need, if they're wanting to go into Twitter or Snapchat or things of that nature, bring it to me. That's where what we may end up doing, depending on the situation and the needs. I've got a lot of partnerships built right now with other marketing and advertising agencies who specialize in areas outside of what we do. And So they send a lot of stuff to us. We send stuff to them, just because we're kind of realizing we want to stay in our lanes. But if we do have some of those types of clients, I may bring in a partner and say, okay, we're going to work with you guys on this one. We'll handle this part, you handle this part, and then we'll build a custom package for the client based off of their needs. So it's never tell someone, nope, we wouldn't even look at doing that. It's, let me check, let me see what we could do if that's going to be the right fit.
And how much was the marketing management plan?
$5.99.
And
all right.
just help me out if you could repeat you said it was 9 posts on how many platforms?
So that's 9 posts on one platform, which for that one, 9 posts, let me do my math real quick. So if they want additional platforms on that plan, they are at, oh, I cannot do my math right now. They're at an extra $250 a month on that one for additional platforms, just because it's a lot more posts. Any more questions on that?
I don't think I have any more questions, but I do have a comment. I do agree with you. I think most people would be totally fine with the organic growth plan. It might be cool to have ideas as far as like ad packages and stuff like that.
Yeah, so with that, the way I've been doing it is I've been setting it just that $100 plus the whatever they want to allocate budget wise. We might look at creating, okay, here's a $500 ad package, you get X, Y, and Z, or here's $1,000, whatever it is. The thing that gets tricky there, and the reason I'm not really pushing it, is for the most part, those are going to be one-time expenses. Not a lot of people just set a standard $1,000 a month ad campaign and leave it at that. Some may, but where it gets tricky for me is, as a business, we don't do anything contract-wise right now. And so if we start doing any kind of ad campaign like that, and in particular paying our sales reps based off of the amount that they're selling, so you sell a $1,000 ad campaign and I give you $1,000 commission, if they do that for 1 month and then from there they cancel that service after the first month, I've paid, the commission plus the ad spend plus our expense and time. So if we move into something of that nature down the road where it is like a set ad package, we would probably also need to do it along with a contract, which I'm not at a spot that I want to do right now, because not having a contract is very appealing to a lot of people. That and I would have to do, there'll be a lot of steps that go into building a contract if we do that. So that's a great idea, and it's something that is in the down the road, we probably will come up with something along those lines.
Okay.
So, all right, let's move on to our sales channels. And this is basically where are the options to sell this, and then we'll go over each one of them, how to sell in them the best. But I really have 4 main avenues to sell, and that is networking groups. So this is the small business networking meetup groups, or there's tons of different small business networking organizations out there like BNI, or here locally we have a few. You've got the chambers are always a great option. There's always chambers mixers. Basically any group that is focused on business owners getting together. That is really the best place to start. It's where you get to know people. It's where you start hearing feedback. You start getting a lot of great questions in a more casual, comfortable environment most of the time, versus like cold calling, which we'll go over in a minute. But the networking groups are great because that's what people are there to do, to learn about other businesses and tell people about their business. So you have a captive audience when you're there. It's never this thing where, like with a cold call, people get annoyed that you're talking to them or calling them. They're going, oh, hey, yeah, I'm interested in knowing who you are, what you do. Maybe I can use your service. Maybe you can use mine. And so they're a great option. A couple of things with those that are important are the facts that, first of all, you always want to come in professional, meaning you're dressed nicely to match whatever the demographic of that networking group is. I've got different caliber of networking groups here. Like my BNI group is very professional, so it's slacks and a button up every week. And then I've got like the chambers mixers, which are similar, maybe slightly more professional. You'll have a few more people with a suit coat on or something like that, or a tie. But then I've got another one where it's, hanging out, having drinks. And so you show up in maybe a polo shirt and jeans or shorts or something like that. So with the networking groups, always dress to fit the crowd. Always be presentable, not the nicest, but up there with the nicer dressed people, because it stands out. Other than that, with networking groups, a lot of it and the success with a networking group has to do with your ability to just kind of talk about, here's who I am, and having no fear of just going up and starting a random conversation with strangers, saying, hey, how's it going? I'm so-and-so, I do this, and who are you? What do you do? And people don't mind it. It's usually getting over your own fears is the main thing that get in the way of people at these kind of events and groups, is just, social awkwardness or insecurities or whatever it may be, really aren't good to have or aren't needed at these kind of groups, because people are there to talk. So don't be afraid to go up and talk. Now, when it comes to networking groups, I will help find great options for you in your area. So when we're done with the actual training, we'll sit down and do a custom, okay, here's where you're going to start, or, here are the areas that you're in and what you need to do, and we'll figure out a game plan basically for you. But that's something we'll sit down and do at the end. But this is one of the best options to kind of get started when you can. And it's also a good excuse to get out and go do something fun. Most of the time, there's plenty of food or drinks or stuff like that at a lot of these types of events. So What kind of questions do you have on the networking groups?
I don't have any. I've had some experience doing that, so I kind of know how all that goes.
Okay, perfect. So we'll pop on to cold calling. So cold calling is like what Sierra's going to be doing a lot of. It is one of those things that nobody loves to do. Well, no, I take that back. There's some interesting characters out there who just love cold calling, and that's all they do. And they have a blast with it. They aren't afraid of it. The issue with cold calling is the rejection. So when you cold call, you get rejected quite a bit. Normal cold calling ratios are about 100 or 200 to 1. So it takes 100 or 200 calls to get a single lead or sale or connection made. But we run about 20 or 30 to 1, which is still a lot of no's. That's a lot of yeses off of a very short amount of calling, especially when you figure in most cold calls last a total of 2 minutes is pretty typical, because you call, you say who you are, and checking on seeing, okay, who's a good person for me to talk to about this. And a lot of times you'll just get shot down right then and there. So I don't ever push people to do, 8-10 hours a day of just straight cold calling, because you're going to be exhausted after a while. I like personally about 3, maybe 4 hour stretches of cold calling when I do it. And that's pretty comfortable. That's right at the point where you start going, all right, I'm done. I need a break. But it's effective. So it's definitely a strategy that needs to be implemented. And it's a very efficient way to do it. So if you are traveling, if you are, not for whatever reason able to go out to networking groups or go meet with people, then cold calling is a great option, because you can sit down and reach 100 people in 4 hours and potentially get 3 or 4 or 5 sales out of that. So it's a very efficient way to do it. I just don't want it to be something that burns you out. So do it to the point that you can handle. Don't completely avoid it though, because it will be one of your better sources for a large volume of leads and sales. So with cold calling in particular, there are a million different strategies. I'm not a big elevator pitch kind of guy, which a lot of cold calling companies do. Hey, you have a 30-second elevator pitch. You say that as soon as someone answers the phone, and then you'll hopefully get through to the right person. I personally don't like that. It's not something that I say you're not allowed to do, but I just personally don't think it's the most effective way to cold call. So with it, I like a very natural approach where you basically call and say, hey, my name's Tommy with Manski Media. We run social media for small businesses, and I wanted to just talk to whoever's in charge of your guys' marketing or advertising for your company. Is that person available? So that's not a full elevator pitch. That's literally, hey, here's who I am and why I'm calling. Who do I talk to? And that is pretty easy. So something along those lines is what I suggest. But at the same time, make it your own, make it unique, make it you, where your personality is what's coming out. It's not just a script. It's not just a do this, then this, then this, and it's done. No, you've got to be you, which goes back to yesterday. People buy you. And so when you're making calls and cold calls, you got to be you on it and have some personality, and that'll make people connect easier. Throw in some humor, throw in some, joking I've done it before where I kind of hit a spot where I'm tired for the day and I go, I know. It's another telemarketing call, but hey, this is what I do. If this is something that you could use in any way, shape, or form, let me know. Otherwise, feel free to throw the phone or something like that. And just something sarcastic, over dramatic, things like that, just to kind of break the tension, especially if you're doing it, Friday afternoon, people are tired of work and that they're probably like, oh my gosh, I'm over this day. That's a great time to use some of those kind of humor or, just kind of breaking up the monotony kind of stuff. So I am all for that. And with that, if you need a script to start, I can write one. And I can give you here is a thing to pretty much just read until you're comfortable and can tweak it and make it your own. That we can do, at least for the icebreakers. So like Sierra, I'll be doing that. If you need one as well, Corey, I can do it. Just let me know. But yeah, so that's kind of the gist on cold calling. What questions around that?
I mean, if the script is, like the little summary of the elevator pitch that you gave, I think I could handle that.
Okay. Yeah, I'll be putting one together for Sierra anyways, just because it'll be her first time venturing into it. So I'll put together just an intro line for you, and the first couple of questions you need to ask on the cold call to basically get your foot in the door.
Okay.
And so then after a little bit, it shouldn't take more than a day or two of calling to be at a spot where you're comfortable on it. It doesn't take long at all. But the other thing with it, what was I just going to say? Oh, call lists. So with the cold calling, what I will end up doing is after we develop your sales strategy and kind of your plan of attack, I will pull a call list for you and get it input into like Salesforce or into Excel for you, and basically get you a call list of, okay, here's 500 different numbers to call, and mix that in with your other stuff as well. So I'll get a list of business names and phone numbers, and if possible, emails as well. But we'll decide what industries to tackle first, because the easiest way to get started is by really just picking, here's an industry that I know, I understand, that I can speak to, or the types of people that I'm going to be able to talk to the easiest and connect with, and we'll start there. Granted, we can sell to anybody, but I want you to start with what's easy and comfortable, start with the low-hanging fruit, and then kind of go from there. So with the cold calling, I will get you a list once we get to that point here in the next day or two. But moving past the cold calling to events. So we just did our first event this last weekend, which kind of talked about, but this is going to be things like home and garden shows or any kind of trade shows, This one we did is called the Bite of Bend. It's basically a food festival where they have a bunch of food trucks and then also a lot of different vendors. We have another one coming up next month called Summerfest that it's kind of similar. They all have a very similar feel. It's kind of like going to a fair, just different themes or different focus on the types of vendors they have there or the types of events going on. But events should be fairly successful. Now, I'm not going to start people into events instantly. So that's not a, hey, you get rolling week one, and then we line up an event for you to do. Events take a lot of time and investment on my side. And so events are things that once you're established, once you are, knowing what you're doing, good to go on everything, then we will start building an events calendar. It's going to take, a month or 2 months of experience and practice getting this and really kind of getting your, all the ins and outs figured out, your sales process figured out, and then we'll start looking at it because it's not inexpensive by any means. So it costs us a lot of money to do it. So we will do it, but once you're established. Now with that, I will probably shoot once we get things dialed, probably for like 2 to 4 events a year, depending on the area, depending on the volume that you're producing. So like here in Bend, we're probably going to be doing somewhere between 4 to 6 events this year. But we also have a couple of people here to work it. So it makes it a little easier. Whereas if, like for you, Corey, we do 2 events, I'm going to be flying out to come do an event with you type of a thing and setting up a booth and all of that. And so we don't want to do a ton of that, as well as I then will have to overlap that with other sales reps in their areas when they're doing it, since it'll take a little while to where you basically run it all yourself. So any questions on the events?
No.
All right. And then the other sales channel is through your own social media. And this is an area that I think is important and will really make what you do substantially easier and more successful. So what I mean by you need to sell through your own social media feeds is on your Facebook, on your Instagram, you need to be talking about what you have going on with our company. It needs to be hey, I just started working with this company. Here's what they do. Here's a link to their page or to their website. I'm really excited, whatever it is. Or, hey, if you're a small business owner who's a friend of mine, make sure you reach out to me. I've got this going on now. And then follow our social media to steal posts every once in a while and share them on your page. Just like we would tell our clients to do on how to run their social media feeds, we need to be doing pretty much the same, where we're engaging and growing our personal page, sending people to like the business page. And so like, for example, I don't remember looking, Corey, how large is like your Facebook friends list?
Oh, I was going to say, I actually don't have any social media.
Okay. You're going to want to get it. It's really hard to sell it if you don't have any up and running. So you'll want to do some kind of building on there just to create the connections, if nothing else. And so what you'll do is utilize it to find new small business owners, build a connection with them just by sending them a quick message on Facebook or something like that, which it makes it kind of like cold calling, but doing it in a more personal way and in a way that more people receive. Because you can basically screen and profile people on Facebook based off of where they work and go, oh yeah, hey, this says owner of this painting company. I'm going to add them as a friend. And then I'm going to shoot them a message just letting them know, hey, thanks for being a friend. I work for this kind of a company. If you ever need social media help, give us a call. Let me know. I'd be more than happy to help you out. Use it just for business. You don't have to put your whole personal life out there. But if you basically are just kind of, here's an event that I'm working at, or, oh, hey, I'm over here at this meetup group, and you throw a picture on there, it's an extremely effective way to reach people. And it helps reinforce the relationships that you build, like at a networking group. Because I've had quite a few where I connect with them on social media, and then I go to a networking group, and they go, oh, hey, you're Tommy, right? Yep. I have no clue who you are, but yes, I am. And they're like, yeah, I've been following what you're doing. We need to talk. I've been contemplating reaching out, but now that I see you right here, I need to do this. So that's one of the ways that it starts helping, is by building that social media presence, which this is all exactly what we are teaching our clients. It's just we do it for them. But by you doing that on social media, it's going to build more connections. It's going to give you more real relationships, or I guess front loading the relationship part for a lot of people. So it's extremely effective. It's not something you have to do every single day, since you are running just on a personal page, not on a business page. But it's something that I would recommend at least 3 posts a week on there of simple things like, hey, here's what I'm doing, or, oh, hey, our company just posted something about this. Check this out. If you are looking at joining or looking for some help, reach out to me. I'd be more than happy to talk. Things of that nature. It just makes your job easier, is really what it boils down to. Do you have to do it? Is it mandatory? No. Is it highly recommended? Yes. But at the same time, I will admit I am very guilty of not being the most diligent at doing stuff on my social media. Like, I hate doing it pretty passionately. So that's why I can sell it so easily, though, is because I can talk to business owners and be like, look, I don't enjoy doing it myself. I suck at it. I miss days all the time. And I don't even want to look when the last Facebook post I did was. You don't want to know anything about my Instagram because it's non-existent. But I love LinkedIn. And so it's easy to speak to people based off of your own personal experience and taste. And as long as you're able to then relate over that, hey, this is why the service is beneficial, because we understand that you don't have time, you don't like doing it, anything of that nature. So those are the reasons to use social media. But like I said, you don't have to do it. So, all right. Just because I don't want to spend the full 4 hours tonight on this, I'm going to move on to the actual my sales methodology, and this is my actual sales training on that is very generic, that it works with any product you ever sell. So really this is an outline. So I call it the 4 C's. And that is, the first one is counsel. And when I say counsel, what I'm talking about is, at first, when you're selling to someone, you're a counselor. You're there to help figure out their problems. The next step, which I'll go into these all in more depth, but the next step is confirm, which that's just making sure that you understand them and that you're hearing everything right. The next is consult, which consult just means that you are an expert, that you're the one who says, this is what you need to do, why you need to do it. And then the final step is close. Well, I guess it's not technically the final step, but it's last C is close. And then if for some reason the close doesn't work, we go into what's called overcoming objections, which just means you circle back towards the beginning. And we'll go over that in a second. So for as a counselor, what you're doing at the start of any sales interaction, whether it be selling our product or something else, you should always be trying to find out what is going on, why, and find a and basically figure out what is the root cause and the primary pain point. So you'd asked earlier about the pain points. This is when we start diving into getting to those. So I will send you this this printout that I have that's based around this sales process. But you're going to start by asking a lot of questions. When you're a counselor, or whenever you think of counselors, what do? They ask questions, and they keep asking questions, and you give them some info, and then they ask a question about the info you gave, just to try to get to what is all the information, what is everything going on. So at the first part of your sales process, you should be asking things like, tell me more about your business and what you guys do. This is where you're going to ask things like, who's your target demographic? And with that in particular, people oftentimes don't understand who that is. Like we talked about yesterday, a lot of people don't understand who their target demographic is. And this is where you start really probing into, wait, so let's find out more specific who your target demographic is and really pinpoint down stuff. So you just keep asking questions around it. Things like, what are you guys looking to accomplish in the next year? That's a question that a lot of business owners go, I don't know, to make more money. How much more money are you wanting to make? And what do you need to do to get there? How do you need to make, like, what steps do you need to take to get to those goals? And a lot of people don't have that kind of a plan in place. And so especially clients who are saying, well, I don't know, I don't really have a plan on that. That's where we can come in and really offer some advice, connect them with some other companies who might also be able to do some business strategy for them, or that may even be something that I offer to do for them. But ask them questions about, what they're looking to accomplish. And then things like, what are your struggles? How are things going? Are things going well? Where are you having problems? What is or isn't working? Really trying to figure out, who is this company past just what they do? How is their business itself running? And why is it working or not working? And that way we can help then diagnose, wait, this might be where they have a need. So some other types of questions up front. Let's see. Ask them, things along the lines of, what have you been doing for marketing or advertising? Which platforms are you on? with like your website, Google, Facebook, LinkedIn, find out where they've been actively advertising, and then how has it been performing? What kind of results have they been seeing from it? You want to know what's working and what's not working for them, because if they say, oh, well, we just run Google AdWords right now and we are getting more business than we can keep up with. Okay, great. Well, maybe we want to look at doing some social media stuff for you so you can start just getting a higher customer retention rather than just finding new customers. Since Google's already doing that for you, we can accomplish a different need through Facebook or Instagram or things of that nature. Um, but basically, we can help kind of diagnose the areas that are lacking based off of the areas that are doing well. And so you want to ask them those questions. Ask who actually does their social media. So a lot of companies, they'll say, well, I do it, or my wife does it, or our office gal does it. Whatever it is, there's usually someone who either does it or is supposed to be doing it and doesn't. So you want to ask that question, who is doing it? And then ask what kind of struggles they have with social media. Whether this goes, you can ask very directly at this point the pain point questions, which are do you have enough time to post on a regular basis? Yes or no? And then do you have any difficulty coming up with things to write? Or how long does it take you to write the post? Do you like doing it? And if they answer that, yeah, I'm too busy, or I don't like doing it, I can sit down and it takes me an hour. Like, I literally saw someone, I don't remember where I even saw it. It was on Facebook or something today. Someone mentioned something about it taking them 45 minutes to come up with a single post to write, and how that was just a waste of their time. And those are the things that people will tell you in a heartbeat. As soon as you start talking to them about social media and the social media for their business, they'll tell you exactly what they do or don't like about it. The people who like doing it and think they're good at it, you can pretty much say, okay, have a great one, and move on, because they're not going to be an easy sale. It's the people who go, oh my gosh, I know I need to do it, but I'm not doing it right, or I don't have time, I can't keep up with it, or whatever that pain point is, they're going to tell you pretty much right away. And those are the people you want to spend your time on. The other kind of questions is asking them how often they post, and if they're inviting people to like their page, or if they're growing their page at all. Those types of questions, which I have this sample list that you can use and just gives you ideas that I'll email over to you. But it's those types of questions you'll start having just down, where it's like, oh, they say this, I know exactly what I'm going to ask. Someone says, yeah, we're doing great business-wise right now. We're slammed. We're working 10-hour days. Oh, so you don't have time to keep up on your social media then, right? And how'd you know? Well, you're busy. If you're busy, you shouldn't have time to do this. And so that's where you're able to figure this stuff out pretty quick and start listening to those triggers or those keywords that are going to steer you to those pain points of either being too busy, not liking doing it, not knowing what to do, or just simply don't do it because they don't do it. So with the whole counsel portion, that is the beginning of your interaction most of the time, is really finding out about them. And so one area a lot of sales reps struggle is they like to data dump. And they like to come in, and especially when you're new, the tendency is to be like, oh, I do this and our company does this and we can do this and this and this for you. And here's how it works. Do you want to do it? And people go, no, I'm good. Because you never took the time to find out who they are and what they need and why they need it. And that ruins the entire sales process if you don't really find out who they are. So at the beginning of pretty much any interaction, you're asking questions. You shouldn't be telling them a lot about the business. It's just enough to get them to open up, but really all you're doing is talking or asking them questions about how things are going and looking to find the pain points to sell to. So that is step one of the sales process, how I recommend doing it. What questions do you have on this portion of it?
Is this while cold calling or like when you're in a consultation?
So Sierra's question, if you didn't hear it, Corey, is it while cold calling or in a consultation? This is both. You don't have to go as in-depth on a cold call if you're just prospecting. So like when you're trying to just generate leads and consultations, you don't have to get everything dialed. But this is where you can start asking some questions to figure out if there is a need. And if it gets to where they're telling you, yeah, you know, I've got this problem or I've got this issue and I could use help with it, that's when you're able to then connect them to a sales rep. So, all right, Corey, anything on your end?
No.
Okay. Moving on. So the next step is important for a few reasons, and it's one of the easiest to miss. It's the confirm section. And this is simply making sure that you understand what their pain point is that you're selling to. So you want to find through all the question asking, all right, this person is super busy with work. He gets really busy during the summer and is slow during the winter. So his need is to ramp up so that he's booked out through the winter and doesn't have as much of a slow time or as much downtime during the winter as normal. And so the confirm literally is asking something to the effect of, what I am hearing you say is this. Is that right? Or am I missing something? Or is there anything else? So you can ask, so what I'm hearing you say then, just to make sure I understand your need and your issue, is that you need more time to be able to focus on working during the summer and have somebody else pick up the slack during that time on the marketing piece for you so that you don't get slow during winter. Is that right? They say yes. You say, okay, great. Then you move on. If they say no, then you go, okay, well, what am I missing? You know, what do I misunderstand? And this is important because it makes people feel heard, and it makes them go, hey, this person gets me. They understand what's going on. They understand where I'm at, what I'm dealing with, why I'm dealing with it. And so they actually give a crap. And that's what a lot of people want, is just somebody to listen. And by simply doing a restate and saying, okay, so this is what you're saying, right? That makes people feel heard, because then you also have that option of, or like I just said, if they say no, you backpedal and you go, okay, well, let's figure out what I'm missing. You know, help fill in the gaps here for me. Help get me on the same page. And that's where doing this confirm is important, because you can't move on to the next step accurately unless you confirm and make sure that you understand clearly what they're wanting, what they're needing, why they're needing it. Because the next step is the consult part. Now for Sierra, this is in a phase that you really go into. This is more for sales, but if you are doing referral, just the referral process, you kind of, at the consult part, your consultation is, all right, let me get you connected with one of the sales reps who can make sure to get you taken care of. But the way I like to think of the consult phase is, if you go to a doctor, do you want a doctor who comes in, figures out, asks you all these questions to figure out what's wrong, and then say, well, I guess you could do this, or you could do this, or you could do this. There's all these different options. You know, some are good, some are bad. Here's the good of this and the bad of this, the good of this and the bad of this. And you sit there and you go, oh my gosh, it's too much to figure out. No, you want a doctor who you go into, you see, they check you out, they make sure that they understand what's going on, and then they say, okay, here's what you need to do, how it's going to fix it. This is the plan. Sound good? Okay. That is what you do after you've gotten the confirm, is you move into this consultant mode, which is you are going to say, here's your issue that you said that you just confirmed, here is the solution. And so when you're in the consultant phase, confidence is key, but not being cocky. Okay, so this is where, yeah, you want to say, here is the right solution and why, but not come across as, oh, well, you just need this, and, you know, being arrogant or anything like that. You don't want to be over the top, and you don't want to be overconfident in that, oh, well, we're the best of everything. No one else knows what they're doing. You don't do that kind of stuff. You basically come in and say, hey, this is the problem. You just said that you don't have enough time during the summer to take care of all the marketing, and that ends up being a thing that you get slow in the winter. So by having us come in, run your social media for you during the summer when you don't have time, that is going to help fill up your sales funnel, get your name out there more, get more repeat business, as well as we can then come in and help with getting your previous clients to talk about you more and become advocates for you. That is going to take care of this problem. That's what I suggest we do. Okay, so come in, you be confident, you're talking to their pain point. So that's why you've got to establish what their pain point is, so that you can talk to it, and so that you can say, okay, you're too busy, so let us do it for you, or you're not good at doing it, let us do it for you. You find that pain point and you do your consultation to it. And with that, you want to show how our service is going to meet their needs. So this is the area that takes a while. Like, we're not going to be able to have you as an expert on that in this meeting. Just because of the fact that there's so many different nuances to each company and each industry, that this is a part that you learn as you go. But really the main things to understand and see here are, okay, if someone's really busy and that's their pain point, is they don't have time to do social media, it's easy to show that by us just doing it for them, it saves that time and that meets the need. But there's a lot of other intricacies in that can kind of come into play. But for the most part, it's the high level of it is pretty simple. They're too busy, we save them time because they're not doing it. They don't know how to do it, so We do that all of the time, so they don't need to worry about learning all the ins and outs and the do's and don'ts of social media, any of that kind of stuff. So with that, I would say, ask me a lot of questions as you get into situations where you're like, hey, with this company, here's their situation. How's it going to help? Or what's the strategy here? What's the approach? Things of that nature. What are the benefits? That is the kind of stuff you can ask me all the time, and I'm going to answer, and I can come up with those answers quickly. But the one big thing with this part is don't data dump. You don't want to just give them insane amounts of info. You want to stay pretty to the point. You want to stay very like, okay, here's the issue, here's the solution, why it's going to work, and keep it simple. If people have more questions, they'll ask, but you don't want to just assume that they're going to have every possible question. Like, you should not be talking to them like I am right now during this training, because with the sales side of it, you want them to do most of the talking, and you want to just say, okay, here's what we should do, why we should do it. Sound good? And if they say, yep, great, let's do it. If they say nope, then you can talk more and ask more questions, or they're going to ask you questions. But the consult phase is really just offering the solution and why it is the solution, which transitions right into the close. And this is literally just close the sale. So there are a lot of sales reps, for some reason, have a hard time saying something to the effect of, would you like to sign up? Can I send you the invoice? When do you want to start? Anything like that. It's just that hard close of, okay, everything sounds good. We just went through the consultant phase and you didn't disagree with me on anything. So let's go ahead and get you signed up. And so if you don't do this, I've seen it time and time again where people will just kind of leave it hanging out there. So I don't know, what are your thoughts? Do you have any questions on it? And they stop there instead of saying, okay, would you like to sign up? And taking out those open-ended, kind of ethereal types of questions where people are just left hanging, and you're actually telling them, hey, keep contemplating more and more and more stuff to come up with to choose not to do this. You don't ever want to do that, because then people will sit there and go, well, I wonder about this, maybe this. And they start doing all these what ifs in their head. And that'll cause people to walk away. So you want to just ask for the close, which with this whole process, it all works in tandem together, because if you've done your counseling properly, found the root cause, confirmed that it is the root cause, then made a strong recommendation off of your consulting, and then asked them to close, and they say no, you have the ability to then go, well, wait a second. And this is the step that I didn't put in there, but it's the overcome objections, where if they say, no, I don't want to do it right now. Wait a second. You said this is your issue, and you confirmed with me that you don't have enough time to run your social media, and you know it's needed. So why are you telling me no? What did I miss? And so when somebody says no, you go back to the confirm and basically say, all right, well, this is what you said the issue was. I showed you the solution. Where is the issue if it's not there? And basically try to reconfirm They may come up with something like, oh, well, you know, I don't have the money right now. Okay, so when will you have the money? So if money wasn't an issue, this is something you would want, right? Okay, so let's figure out an option to get you the money, because obviously not doing it is costing you money. So we need to figure out a way for you to get the money. And so that's with this whole sales cycle and sales process. When you get to the close and they say no, you have ammunition to go back and say, why? So that is like my sales process. As far as my methodology, or I guess my philosophy and psychology behind it. That was very paraphrased. Like, I can actually stretch this entire training out to like a day just on the sales thing, but I condensed it. So what questions do you have on that, the 4 C's sales process?
I'm not sure if I have any specific questions. I just
Okay.
feel like if you were taking all that time to sit down with the client and you went over all that information, I feel like it'd be hard to believe that they'd have objections after all that.
Exactly. And that's the whole philosophy, or the whole premise behind this is the only reason they will tell you no is because of things they didn't tell you up front. And that, like, the only ones I've had who I was like, oh yeah, I've got them sold and this is easy, and then they say no, it turned out at the end of it being, look, I just really literally don't have $250 a month right now. It's just not in the budget. I can't make it happen. And even that is a pretty lame objection, because a small business owner should have the ability to invest $250 a month into one of the most effective forms of advertising they can do. So even with that, I still do pushback, but there have been a few people who literally were like, I am not making enough right now, and until I get past this, I have to do the busy work myself. And I can't sub out these things that I know, yes, you would be better at doing, and it would save me a ton of time, but I literally can't do it right at the moment. So that's the only time I ever get hard no's from anybody who has done this logic, like gone through this and has their head on their shoulders. I think the only other one was a gal who was freaking out about real Facebook monitoring her stuff, and like, I had her sold even, where she wanted service, she knew she needed it, but she then wanted to talk to my wife just about the kind of stuff. And during that conversation, she was like, it just freaks me out, you know, all this information, and I don't like or trust Facebook or anything like that. And so there were other extenuating circumstances that caused her to end up saying no. But even she is someone that I'm going to tag base back with here in a little bit. And I think that she'll end up going with us once she gets over her paranoia. So, but you are correct that most people don't say no. If you can get them to actually sit down and go over this with you, pretty much everybody is going to say yes. I don't even know my exact close rate right now. I'd have to go figure it, but it's probably in the 90 percentile, or 90% of all the consultations I do close. So it's pretty rare that people don't. So basically we've gone over, all right, here is our products and services and how to sell it. And so now we're going to go over once you've got them to say, yes, I want the service, what the next steps are. And this part's pretty important because this is not something that is adapt your own style. This is here is exactly the steps that need to be followed to onboard a new customer. So first of all, once we have you up and running with everything, I will send you, we call them our new customer questionnaire. And it's basically questions that we need filled out that tell us about the customer. It tells us about their backstory a little bit. This is where it's kind of their branding information. And this is the information that our writers need to get to know the customer well and be able to write for them properly. And so part of the sales process, once they say, yeah, let's do it, you say, okay. And you pull out one of the questionnaires, sit down with them and fill it out. I highly recommend take your laptop to 2 consultations to do it, or if not, you can print it out and handwrite it. It's just when it goes back to the writer, it needs to be typed out, just so we're not having to read through scribble handwriting, because I know mine is atrocious to read. So you'll basically sit down and fill out this questionnaire with them. Doesn't have to be super long, in-depth answers to everything. It can literally be simple things. Let me find, say that. Just pulling it up real quick. A lot of this you're actually going to utilize during your sales process, because tell us about what you do. This is stuff you should know. What is your target client base or demographic? How many clients do you have? How many employees do you have? Are you looking to maintain your business or grow your business? What are your growth goals? And then some questions about what they're currently doing on social media, and a few questions about them as an individual, things that they believe in as far as nonprofits they like, what their hobbies and interests are, what's the overall feel they want for their company and their branding. So you'll fill this out with them. Should only take 10 minutes or so to do. And then we have the client responsibility guide, which we kind of talked about yesterday. What our clients still need to do when they hire us on, what their involvement still needs to be. And so I have it here, which I'll send over to you as well. But their roles are inviting people to like their business page, and then adding new friends on their personal page, which isn't required. It's not mandatory, but it's just highly recommended. So they want to add the friends on their personal page, funnel them over to their business page, like we talked about yesterday. They need to respond to messages that are sent on the business page. So if somebody messages their company's business page, they need to be the ones responding to that, because we aren't going to be monitoring every single message to every one of our clients. That's something down the road we will eventually offer that as an additional service, but right now it's not something we're doing just because we don't have the time or manpower to do that much monitoring. So they need to respond to messages. They need to share posts from their business page. So use that personal page, even like I was telling you to do for selling. Use the stuff on the business page once in a while and share it on the personal page, because the personal page is going to have a lot more followers. And so if they share it on a post that they really like that we do on their business page, and they share that onto their personal page, it's going to reach a lot more people who aren't following the business page yet, and then hopefully draw more people over there. So they need to do that. And that's something they maybe do once a week, every other week, things of that nature. They also need to send their account manager pictures. So once they're up and running, they will receive a call or first an email from their account manager, whoever is going to actually be the one writing the post for them. And they do just kind of that follow-up onboarding process of going over the questionnaire with them. They go reiterate this responsibilities guide. But basically, they get assigned an account manager right away. And so they need to send them pictures and updates of what's going on and let them know, all right, here are some upcoming events. Here is some specials we have running, whatever it is, important stuff for us to know and advertise for them. That's the kind of stuff they need to be communicating back to their account manager on a regular basis. And then the other part on there, there's two other things. They need to ask for reviews. So they still need to be asking every one of their clients to write them a review. So if someone is a house painter, every time he paints a house, he needs to ask the person when he's done to go onto his Facebook page and write him a review. Whether he sends that to him in an email request, just verbally asks, or includes it on his invoice, it doesn't matter. They've got to ask for reviews because reviews are huge for their page. And then ask, depending on the type of business, they should be asking clients to check in. So a great example, we had a cigar shop as a client. And they had kind of a cigar lounge in there where people could come hang out and have a cigar. And told them very instantly, you need to request that if people are going to just hang out in there, that they check in. They go on Facebook and they do a quick post saying, hey, I'm at the cigar chapel and I'm having a cigar right now. Take a picture and check in on Facebook. That way it builds all kinds of benefits, both on their Facebook page itself, that improves their algorithm dramatically, but it'll also help with their Google rankings, their Yelp rankings, because all of the different platforms out there talk to each other and share information and are watching what is going on each other's sites and pages. And so if people are checking in that they're at this place, well, Yelp is going to want to start boosting them because, hey, a lot of people start coming here. I'm going to start advertising it more or pushing it on Yelp more, because then it'll get more recognition for Yelp. And so they're always basically competing against each other while sharing the information back and forth. So things like the reviews and checking in are huge. So that is the, basically we call it the how to maximize your Facebook business page guide that we'll send out, and you'll give that to a new client. So hopping back over, sorry, I kind of rabbit trailed on that, to kind of setting the expectations and the onboarding process. So you do the questionnaire with them, you give them this guide on what they need to still be doing, and everything on the guide has a video on our website. So you want to make sure you let them know that, hey, if you have any questions on how to do this, go to the website and there's a walkthrough video that shows you in 3 to 5 minutes how to do all of this. And it's very simple. Everything's on there so you can see it and do it. It's easy. So make sure you let them know to utilize the website if they need help on stuff. Also, with our plan, we do quarterly analytics reviews. So this will probably come up during the sales process. How often we keep them in the loop on what's going on, how often do we check in with how things are going. We do quarterly. Reason being, and this is another thing you probably want to be very familiar with, is it will generally take 3 to 6 months to build up a page. So that is a question you will probably be asked quite often. Is, well, how quickly will I start seeing results? Well, we say 3 to 6 months to see substantial changes. Now, that doesn't mean that they're not going to see an instant jump and spike in how many people are seeing their posts, or they will start seeing more followers or anything else that are kind of the byproducts of it, of what we're doing. But when they're asking, when am I going to start seeing results or noticing a change, it can take 3 to 6 months to start really seeing, oh, hey, I'm starting to get a lot of business from this now. Or, hey, I went from 200 to 700 followers and I'm getting all kinds of engagement now. So it's reaching more people. It's a thing that it takes some time, but they should see a pretty much instant jump, and at least their impressions and their engagement level. That is something that very few of our clients have not really seen a change there. Almost every single one of our clients have seen dramatic changes in their impressions and in their engagement. So like right now, our Q1 analytics over all of our customers, which this is taking in to account customers who weren't with us the entire time. We had for Q1 a total increase of 74.6% impressions across all of our customers. And so some of our customers went from like 0 to 1,000. Some went up a little bit. They had like a 5 to 10% impression increase. But most of our clients are roughly doubling the amount of impressions, which an impression is somebody seeing the post. Basically, it shows up in their feed as they're scrolling through. It doesn't mean that they're doing anything with it. It just means that they're seeing it. The stat that's more important, though, is the engagement. Engagement for Q1 was up 106.9% for all of our customers, or average across our customers, which that means people are actually liking the post. That means they're taking the time to read it, to engage with it in some way, shape, or form, write a comment, which that is what we want to see even more than impressions, because the more engagement, the more likely it is that their post will be seen by people that are down at that tier 2, tier 3, who aren't following the page. So the increase in engagement is what we're shooting for. So with that, that's basically the analytics are reviewed quarterly, because we need a quarter to get a good analysis, really get things dialed. And those are the kind of stats that we're going to be sharing with them is, okay, every quarter, we're going to look at how many impressions you had, and what your increase was, what your total fan increase is, and your engagements, as well as some other stuff. So we do that quarterly with them, make sure they are aware of that. Advise that they will be receiving an invoice via email. So basically, the process is you close the sale, you do the consult with them, and you do this onboarding with them. Then you'll let me know their info, which you'll shoot me over an email saying, hey, I've got so-and-so, here's their consultation questionnaire, and here's what plan they want, and their info. I'll go in, I'll create an invoice for them, send them an invoice, which we do everything through Square. And so you can let them know that, yeah, you'll be getting an invoice from us. We do everything through Square. So if it says Square on there, that's why. And they have to pay prior to us starting their service. So we are a prepaid company, not a postpaid company. I do this because I don't want to have collection issues, and I don't want to have high churn rates, which if you can get people to pay for the service right up front, they're going to stay with you, or at least they're substantially more likely to stay with you. And so we do everything prepaid, and that means that if they sign up for the organic growth plan on Facebook and then they add in Instagram and then they have the setup fee, they're going to pay a total of right at $500 right up front to get up and running, because they're paying for the 250, the 150, and the 100. And they've got to pay that before we start. So as soon as I get the notification that they paid the bill, I then notify their account manager, whoever I decide that's going to be writing for them, and they will reach out within 24 hours if it's a weekday, 48 hours if it's a weekend. But even still, we typically get to stuff on the weekends. Just Sundays are hit and miss. But you want to let them know they'll get the email, and once they pay it, someone will reach out within 24 to 48 hours to get them onboarded, and that'll be their account manager. So got to set that expectation. We will very quickly, like once you're up and running and dialed in and have everything set up and are comfortable, I will actually switch that to where you can process the payment right then and there. I've just got to get a few things set up differently for Square to do that. And so basically you'll want eventually to be able to just process the payment right then and there with them, because we've had a few who we send the invoice and then they just never pay it. And so you get a much higher close rate if you are able to take the payment all at once. So the next thing you want to do for Facebook or Instagram or both of them, they need to add me as an admin to their business page. So that's something that we can, if it ever gets overlooked, it's not a big deal. We can do it after the fact. But you want to let them know, yeah, you're going to need to add Tommy as an admin to the business page so that he can get you added into the system. Because the system we use basically links into either mine or Angela's Facebook accounts. Whoever we have as clients that we're admins on their page, we can add them into our system so we can access all of our clients from one page and from one spot, instead of having to log out of different accounts and switch around on Facebook all over the place. So the system we use just requires either me or Angela being added, but it's easiest just to add me as the admin for it. And if they are doing Instagram, we do need their login info. Facebook, they can just set us as an admin on their page, but Instagram requires their login username and password. For some reason, Instagram has not created a full business setup yet, and I don't get it. I don't know why they do it, but they need to add us on there or give us that info to log in. So it's kind of a pain. It's something I hate asking for, and hopefully they'll get that changed down the road. But for now, it is what it is. And then LinkedIn, they can just add me as an admin as well. Same as on Facebook. So like I said, I have walkthrough videos on how to do that. If they're not sure how to add an admin to a page, it's on the website. There's a walkthrough video. It's easier for them to just watch that video than to try to walk them through it. So, and then last couple of things, or actually before I go into the next things on that, any questions on the onboarding process after you've closed the sale?
I had one question from the close process.
Okay.
I was just curious if somebody asked you up front how much it was. Do you tell them?
Yeah. Yeah, our price point is not going to scare off anybody who has looked into it at all. So like I was debating, originally I left pricing off of everything because I was going, oh, it's $250 a month. That might scare people away. It doesn't at all. Anybody who has looked into these types of companies will go, that's it? Because they're used to hearing 500, 600 or more. There's not many of us out there who are in this price point, and everybody else who's in our price point just does the generic industry specific post. And so it's nowhere near as effective and people don't like them. So no, you can tell people the price right up front. It's not an issue. And for certain personality types, sometimes that's even better. So yeah, don't ever be afraid of it.
Okay.
A couple other things to kind of do at the end of the sales process. This is after you've onboarded and gone through the questionnaire and really set all the expectations. This is going to help make you a lot more money. Right there on the spot, ask for a referral or multiple referrals. If you simply say, when you're wrapping things up, well, I'm glad I was able to get you taken care of and that this is going to be a great fit. Can I ask, is there anybody else you can think of who would benefit from this that I should reach out to? People will tell you in a heartbeat, oh yeah, you need to talk to so-and-so or so-and-so, and they'll start just giving you a laundry list. And it's important that you get their info, because a lot of people will instantly say, oh yeah, I'll let them know and tell them to give you a call. Don't ever put the sales process in the hands of somebody else. Do it yourself. Say, you know what? I'll give them a call. That way you don't have to worry about it. What's their number? I'll give them a buzz and do that. Or just take their name. I mean, if they're a business owner and they're like, I don't have their number handy, or I'm not sure, just, okay, what's the name of their company? And then go look it up afterwards and say, hey, so-and-so told me to give you a call. We just got them up and running with some social media management. Wanted to reach out to you. As they said, you'd benefit from it as well. So always ask for referrals right then and there. And then when you're done with everything, like I said, send over the questionnaire. Make sure it's typed out, not written. We got to make sure we have their name, their business name, the phone number, email address. Physical address is nice if possible. And then also the date they want to start. Because a lot of times people will say, yep, I want to get going, but I want to start on the 1st of the month. That's when I do all my billing, or whatever the reason is. Like I have one scheduled to start on July 1st right now. And it's just because that's when all of her payment processing is done, and she wants to keep it all the same. And so let me know the start date, so that way I can put it all into the invoicing and send it over. And then another thing on it is, be sure to check back in with them after a month or two, and give them a call after 2 months or a month and say, hey, how have things been going? You know, any feedback, anything that you're needing. And that's a great time to upsell, because if they go with just the basic organic growth plan on one platform and they say, yeah, it's been going really well. Well, great. What do you think about us starting on Instagram for you now as well? Or, you know, get the additional platforms going, because then you're going to get that upsell. And at the same time, you're going to ask for more referrals. Say, okay, well, great. You know, yeah, let's get you upsold. And while we're at it, is there anybody I should call that may need our service? And basically try to get a referral right then and there. Because what you'll find is the type of service we're providing is something that people appreciate, and something that they see a lot of value in for a multitude of reasons. And since we do our jobs pretty darn well, it makes it where they're very apt to refer for us and to us. And so don't ever be afraid of asking for referrals. They'll be huge. So yeah, that's pretty much it as far as like the closing the sale and the sales onboarding process. Anything you need, or any clarification needed on that side of things?
I had a question, but I lost it. It
Okay.
was something that you said, but it probably wasn't that important.
No, you're good. And feel free, you know, email me with anything, obviously. Or, you know, I'm always going to be here and available to help and continue the training, because it's not going to be oh, hey, you're rocking and rolling completely as soon as we're done with this. It's going to be okay, which we'll go into here in a second. But here's the plan to get you started and to kind of get you moving forward on everything. And there will be questions that come up that I didn't cover, or you didn't think of, or any of that kind of stuff. There's going to be a lot of continued education, especially at first. Like I would say, Julie, our other rep right now, is a month and a half in and just really getting dialed, and getting to the spot where she's like, oh, wait, it's all clicking now. Now I'm getting it all, and it's getting easier, which is part of the reason I've lowered the bonus structure for you guys for the first 2 months, is because I know it's going to take a little while to get dialed and really get rolling the right way. And so yeah, so don't ever hesitate on reaching out. So that kind of moves into really the final part of this, which what we need to do, and we will do this in just a couple of minutes, Corey, but just for the video purpose, kind of the next step is we're going to create a plan. We kind of talked about that earlier, what your plan of attack is and how you're going to start selling. But to start with, what I want is to identify people that you're already connected with that own businesses. Start there, because what you can do is you can reach out to practice with them, which practice and is just a great safe way to get in and still potentially get a sale. But at the same time, you know, this is a thing you've got to start feeling it out. And if you start with people that you're comfortable with, who will ask you the questions and not just write you off, or not just say, oh yeah, no, great, I'm not interested, but great job. You want people who are going to say, yeah, let's hash this out. I'll give you tons of feedback and fill in the gaps and help you kind of figure it all out. So start with that. And I would say try to get 3 to 5 of these lined up where it is just basically people you already know, people you're comfortable with, and can go practice and really start honing the craft, because it doesn't take very many of these sit downs to start going, oh, I'm hearing the same things over and over. I'm hearing these are the most common pain points, like we've already talked about. But now you're starting to understand, once you start doing it, how to actively engage with and react to those. So you want to get like 3 to 5 practice runs in, which who knows? My first practice ones when I launched this company, I sold because they went, yeah, I definitely want to. And so try to get those lined up. And then, we will work on a custom sales plan that is the bigger picture. And that's going to be okay, let's dissect what networking groups are in your areas and figure out a game plan on those. Start looking at, okay, here are the industries you want to start by calling and doing cold calling to. Anything that will help us really hone in. This is who you want to reach, why you want to reach them, and go from there. And then the other part of that is I want you to set your goals. And this is because if you don't have a goal, you're never going to hit it. If you don't have something to shoot for, you're never going to hit it, type of a thing. And so what that needs to be is okay, here's how much I need to make. And this is what I need my income to be. And then also at the same time this is what I need, but this is what I want. And this would be amazing, kind of a thing. And figure out those benchmarks so that we can reverse engineer it for you. It's got to be planned out. You can't just say, oh, I want to make $100,000 this year, but I'm just going to kind of go out and feel it out. No, if you want to make $100,000, we have to have a very systematic plan of attack of, okay, to do that, you're going to need to get this many cold calls in. You're going to need this kind of a close rate. You're going to need to be at these types of networking events this often and put in this many hours. We're going to reverse engineer everything based off of where you want to be. So come up with those goals, but you got to make them achievable. And so don't say, oh, I want to make $1 million this year, because sorry, you're not going to make $1 million. That would be great. I wouldn't complain, because that would be an insane amount of business for us, but it's not going to happen. Realistic, if you're working part-time, is $25,000 to $40,000 for the year for part-time, and for full-time should be $40,000 to $80,000, somewhere right in there. You might go higher, you might hit $100,000. It's possible. It just depends. But it all depends on how aggressive you are, how many hours you're putting in, how much you're going after. So what you want to do is set those goals. And then from there, what we're going to do is set up just kind of an individual, all right, here is what your goals are. Here's who you want to attack and how you want to do it, and we'll set the plan. So that's something what I'll have you do is just tonight, if you can, write out those goals for me. Write out a list of people that you say, all right, I can reach this person, and this person who own businesses or who would be good potential leads. Get a list put together, and then also think through what industries are you comfortable speaking to, speaking the language, and can connect with very easily just because you know them. So figure those out for me, put them down on paper, and you can either email it over to me tonight or tomorrow. But let's plan on following up again tomorrow, and we'll here in a minute set up a time to do that, and then get your actual game plan going. One thing that I didn't go over that I want to real quick, just so I have it on the recording as well, is when it comes to your the things that you will need, your swag, and things like business cards, like the professional name tags, flyers, and our brochures. Basically, any of that kind of stuff, or even like the Salesforce logins, custom work email address. So once we have you up and running, you'll get a Corey@manskimedia.net email address with an Outlook profile, because that's what we do everything through. But to get those things, instead of like most direct sales companies where they tell you, hey, yeah, you have to pay a startup fee to buy these, or you got to go buy your own stuff. I'm not going to do that at all. I basically just say, get one sale, and as soon as you get the one sale, I'm going to reinvest into you the cost for 1,000 business cards, for shipping you over a shirt, a hat, the professional name tags, the brochures, the flyers. I'm going to send you basically your startup kit after you get your first sale, just so that way I am not spending, $250 on all this stuff and shipping it over, and then not having anything come through business-wise for it. So that's the one thing I forgot to put into the presentation. But you don't have to buy your own stuff. I'm going to take care of it for you. I just have to have a single sale before I do it. So that's all I have to go over for the training portion of it. Like I said, Corey, I want you to work on those couple of things. Get me your goals, your target customer list to practice with, and then the industries that you think you want to tackle, and then shoot that over to me, and then we'll just do a call and figure out the game plan and get you going. So any questions before I stop the recording and move on from there?
Nope, no questions.
All right. Well, let me.
Actually, I do have a question. What does the hat look like?
Sorry, what was that last?
I said, what does the hat look like?
So we have kind of standard gray and white trucker hats with our logo across the front and our name. So they actually look really nice. I wear them pretty much all the time right now. So
Are those the Velcro ones, or are those like the nice strap ones?
they're nice. So
Okay.
yeah, we've got good quality stuff. So
That's how you know it's quality, when you've moved up from the Velcro.
Yep, pretty much. So, all right, perfect. Well, I am going to go ahead and end the recording. Corey, I will follow up with you either later tonight or tomorrow. Just shoot me that info, and I'll follow up, and we'll get you all dialed in and running the rest of the way. But this concludes the actual sales training.
Awesome. Actually, I do have a question for you. I don't know if you wanted to record it or not.